We're here at St. Paul's Road and finally this is done. So this was just a bare piece of land a couple of years ago, and now we're going to have a look at the flats from the outside. I haven't got the keys so we can't go inside, but we'll have a quick look outside and you'll see over here we've got the for sale sign on. We have had an offer but it wasn't quite up to scratch. I think somebody's trying to benefit from COVID-19, so we thought we'd hang on a bit longer and get the right price for it, because this has taken us a lot of work, a lot of time. Overall it's taken just over 3 years, which is longer than I anticipated, but we are where we are. It's all done now and it's a very nice, neat development. So let's have a look around on the outside. So these are 3 flats over here, which again we can't go inside, but I have been inside and they are pretty good. So when I've got the keys, we'll go inside and then you'll see the nice sized flats. It's a big long driveway, plenty of space, and at the back we've got two bedroom units, which again are pretty good and neat, and they work well in this particular area because there's a lot of demand for 2 bedroom houses, apartments, flats, call them what you like. So it's going to work really well for those smaller families, yeah, they look nice, as you can see. And what I personally like is there's a lot of space here for parking cars. I mean, from my own opinion, just as somebody who's into property, I think this is too much space, but that's what the planning department wanted, so we thought we'd work with them, as we always do, to get something which obviously ticks the right boxes for them and works for them and also works for us. What's really interesting though is when we were buying this, I was told by a lot of people that we could only get planning for 2 semi-detached houses, and this, I hope it just kind of goes to show that you can do things differently. So just because everybody says, or most people that you speak to have a look at the plot and say you can get 2 semis in there, you're not going to get any more. It's just about working with a good architect, trying to design schemes differently. I'm not saying this is the best design scheme here. I'm sure there would have been other alternatives, but we did have to think about what we could do, and I think looking at the end result here, it has worked pretty well all in all. It's taken, like I said, a lot longer than I hoped, best part of 3 years, in fact just over 3 years, which could have been quicker. Of course, in the last 2.5 months we've had the issue with COVID. Planning took longer than we were hoping, but again that happens, and then the build took a lot longer for a couple of different issues. One was the issue with drainage, but I guess in fairness, looking at the harsh reality, we have taken longer than it should have done, and I guess that goes to show to some extent that developments are never smooth. There are going to be hiccups, so you try and plan for them as best as you can, but no matter how much you plan, I mean, how could anybody plan for COVID-19, for example? You couldn't. So the best that you plan, there could still be delays, so you've got to be mindful of those. You've got to make sure you've got the cash flow to obviously afford and sustain that, and I guess you also have to be patient. Now luckily from my personal point of view, I had other things going on as well in terms of other developments, so that kept us going. If this was the only development I had, well, maybe the flip argument is if this was the only development I had, I'd have probably paid more attention to it, but because I was working on a few different developments, I let this roll on. But in the end it's worked out well overall, and I'm pretty pleased with it, and I hope you are too, especially when I show you inside on the next video.